Are there people who are going to go to jail because of what is happening?
Definitely may makukulong. Whoever made billions, gusto nilang guluhin lahat to di ba? Gusto nilang hindi mahuli yung mastermind, gusto nilang guluhin. Last thing lang na I wanted to emphasize pala siguro, lost to because I want to be sensitive about it. That's why when we passed that resolution, nakiusap ako, Malacanang, please review. And yung iba, criticize ako for saying we're doing this not only for the former president, not only for his family, but for the nation. I'm saying that for two reasons. Yung national pride natin na sinurrender mo, presidente mo. But more than that, Kuya Boy, we are a passionate people. We are a compassionate people. If he gets sick, or worse, if something happens to him there, may malaking gulo sa ating bansa.
The long thought that I have right now, nung sinabi mong Singapore, we need a Lee Kuan Yew. Okay, of course, we're not 3.5 million people. We are 115 to 120 million people. Ang naririnig nating sense ngayon ay, kaya nagtanong ako kung may pupuntahan ba ito. Dahil si Lee Kuan Yew, nagkaroon din ng kanilang version of truth, an independent commission, na ipinaalam niya sa buong mundo na hindi siya natatakot magpakulong doon sa mga corrupt, including members of his own family. Tanong, Alan, meron bang makukulong sa iyong analysis, sa iyong pagtingin, sa iyong assessment? Are there people who are going to go to jail because of what is happening?
Definitely may makukulong. So the two questions now is one, mahahanap at makukulong ba yung mastermind?
Yes.
Pangalawa na siguro yung dami ng makukulong. But I also think it's also the wrong question. Because if we've never jailed a high-ranking official in the Philippines, then baka nga, pag may nakulong, sample kasi yan, baka wala nang gumaya. We've jailed the sitting president.
Yes.
And sabi nung iba, hindi, nakakalaya din. Hindi po, in a sitting president situation, it was a pardon. Yes, nakalaya, pero hindi totoong na-reverse nung korte. We have jailed senators, of course, nakawala. We have jailed, etc. No? And this has happened with Indonesia and Korea. But going back lang, Kuya Boy, sabi mo, Lee Kuan Yew, leadership 100% matters. Pero I don't believe necessarily you need a Lee Kuan Yew for 20 years, di ba? But you need talaga an honest-to-goodness desire by a majority of your community, maging barangay yan, maging bansa, to sustain the momentum for transformation. Hindi pwedeng parang, pag nandyan si Duterte, lahat tayo may disiplina. Pag nandyan si Pinoy, President Aquino, lahat tayo walang corruption or ibababa natin. Lahat tayo, pag nandyan si President Marcos, kung saan siya magaling, dito tayo. Kasi FBR, dun tayo magaling. Then, pag wala na, so hindi pwede, Kuya Boy, that when the cat is away, the mouse will play. Kailangan natin ng ilatag yung pundasyon. Tapos yung majority yun ang gusto, paluin mo talaga yung ayaw. Hanggang gumising ka isang araw na may transformation na talaga.
Very, very strong.
We're very near that, pero yun nga kasi Kuya Boy, whoever made billions, gusto nilang guluhin lahat to di ba? Okay. Gusto nilang hindi mahuli yung mastermind, gusto nilang guluhin. So we're every day, yung genuine yung desire, genuine yung galit, pero nandun din yung yung nagpapagulo.
Okay. Itong outrage, itong galit ba sa iyong basa, is this going to be sustained? Kasi may mga kritiko tayo na magsasabing, nako, pagdating ng panahon, pag hindi ma-sustain yung national conversation, yung galit na yun lilipas.
Well, like a hungry lion, I don't think lilipas nang hindi mo pinakain yung lion.
And diba? Right now, it is a lion.
It is a country full of lions. Okay. Ang problema nga, are you throwing the right meat? Or may para lang mapakain? And then, would the lion be just satisfied na mabusog na siya doon sa meat na tinatapon? Or gusto mo ba yung tunay na pagbabago o transformation? So sa akin, I would not even speculate, will it be sustained or not? babalik ta rin ko. We have to sustain, maybe not the anger and outrage because we're not a people who are always angry. Di ba? Bumagyo nga, baha eh. Nandun yung galit pero may magpo-post, baha ka lang, Pilipino kami. Di ba? May magpo-post ng, ngayon may swimming pool na kami sa bakura namin. Di ba? So we're a people who are tolerant, happy, forgiving, resilient. Di ba? And part of resilience, part of being resilient, Kuya Boy, is that hindi tayo nagtatanim ng galit. Hindi tayo pwedeng hindi magalit, pero hindi natin pwedeng itanim yung galit. So, it's really more of how, as a people, we can sustain that momentum and that desire for change.
But the weak side to that is we forget.
Yes, pagkomportable na.
Pagkomportable na. Correct. Kanina you mentioned that vicious cycle na ayaw mo. Doon tayo lang sa usaping korupsyon. Marami ang nagsasabi na for as long as the system is there, a system that allows corruption to happen, kahit sino ang actors na involved, ay patuloy pa rin na magaganap itong cycle of corruption. Your take?
100%. Why? Okay, kung tayo mga isda, or tayo ay creatures ng tubig, di ba? Kahit anong linis ng isda, pag nilagay mo sa Pasig River, dudumi din yan. So, if you ask me, is it the system or the people? It's both, di ba? Baliktarin mo naman, di ba, na mga isda na talagang dinudumihan niya yung kanyang paligiran. So, lagay mo sa malinis, dudumi din. But we all know the environment matters. Why? The environment, hinihila yun, Kuya Boy. Magsama ka ng seminarista sa isang lugar na panay gambling joint, prostitution house, lahat ng masama nandun. Patirahin mo yung seminarista doon ng 6 months. Yung mabubuti, aalis. Pero yung naiwan doon, will sort of join the party because yun yung environment niya eh. Diba? So we cannot allow ourselves in the Philippines to accept that environment. We have to change it. Okay. So, leadership matters, sustainability, outrage, etc. But how do we channel it? So, let me answer it this way, Kuya Boy. Vicious cycles are never solved until you have a virtuous cycle.
Yes.
Because life is a cycle. Eh. Everything we do, relationships are cycle. So, if I keep saying na, Kuya Boy, bakit hindi magkasundo si Alan at Kuya Boy? Kasi si Alan is the sweetest guy. Until mangailangan ng pera, uutangan niya si Kuya Boy. Never naman babayaran. Maglalaylo, Kuya Boy, maaawa, mamimiss niya si Alan, pag nagkita, magiging close, uutangan na naman siya. So unless I address that, bakit ba ako umuutang? Nagsusugal ba ako? Galante ba ako? Do I, instead of find someone I love, I pay someone to love me? So until I address that, Kuya Boy, it will be a vicious cycle. But once you address that, then it becomes a virtuous cycle. Di ba na, if I do need money, I pay you right away, or baliktad, I get on my feet, and ako pa magsabi, Kuya Boy, nilista ko ha, 20 years, babayaran kita. So whether it's an addiction to drugs, whether it's an addiction to love, whether it's, I keep saying business, pero may time ako sa family ko, then I get too much involved sa business, and I keep saying, well, yung kikitain naman sa family, that's a vicious cycle, Kuya Boy. Okay. We have to replace it with a virtuous cycle.
Gaano kalaking impact ang 2028 presidential elections dito sa mga nangyayaring ito?
Everything that gives us hope is an opportunity but also can be a distraction. So halimbawa ngayon, yung sinabing galit sa corrupt, yes. But galit lang ba tayo sa ghost? Or galit din tayo sa nagsusmuggle? Galit din tayo sa nandadaya at sa mga taga-BIR na humihingi? Galit din ba tayo sa kumukuha ng vouchers, maging TESDA yan, TESDA, DepEd, tapos dinadaya? So, it's either we hate corruption and we want to replace it, or we only hate the corruption where it causes us damage or di ba? So, ganun din. Sa 2028, there are going to be great candidates. And if we love the vicious cycle we're proposing, if we hate enough evil, kahit sino manalo dyan na magaling, we can replace that. Pero if we say, Hindi, kasi ang galing ni Kuya Boy, all my hope is in... But hindi perfect si Kuya Boy. And as you said, lagay natin si Kuya Boy, ganun yung sistema. And then usually kasi Kuya Boy, when the economics is working out, di ba? Napapabayaan mo na yung iba. So I can argue, kung hindi pa nahuli yung ghost at hindi pa sumunod-sunod yung baha, galit tayo sa corruption, pero walang outrage. Ganun din naman sa droga, panahon ni President Duterte, di ba? Lahat tayo galit sa droga. But until yung may tao na drinambit niya tapos lumabas lahat ng kabahuan sa droga, nagkaroon ng outrage.
Right.
Pero it seems like a vicious cycle na magagalit tayo, ma-address ng konti, layon na pakain ng konti, di ba? So we have to, siguro sustainability, Kuya Boy, but transformation talaga. And other countries did it.
Yes.
In a lifetime, ha? In a lifetime.
Oo.
If you tell the Alan Cayetano, 15-year-old, Singapore or Japan, Singaporean hapon, even Korea, di ba? In a lifetime. When we were 10 of 20 years, even 20 years old, I'm 55 this month. No, when I was 20, kasi sabihin mo na nood tayo ng concert, tapos sinong group, K-pop, Koreano, same ba yung tili? Will you go to another country and pay for a ticket to watch, di ba? In the 60s ba o 70s, no? May mga nanis, yaya, ng mga taga Mindanao na taga Singapore. Pero ngayon, sasabihin mo ba na meron taga Singapore na ano? So, in a lifetime, whether it's economic, whether it's social, whether it's values, and when I say in a generation, dati that's 40 years, Kuya Boy, pero ngayon parang 10, 20 years can be a significant change na talaga.
You were talking about the house arrest, the embassy arrest of former President Duterte, at naglabas ng desisyon ang International Criminal Court na hindi siya pinayagan. Ano ang reaction mo?
Kuya Boy, two things, no? In everything I do and say, may political side yan eh. But hindi lahat ng problema sa Pilipinas ay political. Or kahit sabihin mo lahat ng problema ay political, wala mo sabihin mo hanap buhay, Alan, may epekto din yan sa politika, di ba? Ekonomiya natin, may sa politika. Pagkakulong kay may politika, pero may spiritual side yan, Kuya Boy. Di ba? May unseen and may seen, may natural at... So, yung kay President Duterte kasi, mas mabigat pa doon yung mga issues natin. Tama ba na isang presidente, ipadala mo sa ibang bansa? Tama ba hindi siya dito litisin? Tama ba na 8-year-old... So, ang nangyari doon kasi, Kuya Boy, nagkausap-usap ang mga senador, nag-usap kami na can we just steady sa humanitarian? And can everyone agree? Kaya pumayag kami na yung resolution na ipasa was much more watered down than our resolution so that nga, we can come to a point we agree. Nagulat na lang kami na nung nandun, biglang botohan, tapos biglang pumunta dun sa issue na guilty ba siya o hindi, kamusta yung... I mean, who of us do not feel for any victims? One side, yung biktima ng mga drug lords, biktima ng droga. On the other hand, may nadamay na inosente. Whether yan ay 70-year-old, 25-year-old, syempre mas maano pagbata, we all feel for them. Di ba? Pero kaya nga tayo nag-usap sa isang resolution na very, very basic. Sa former president, he's in a foreign country, kahit sinong tao malulungkot, pag 8 years old ka, hindi ka basta mabisita, humanitarian. So, yun po yung hugot. Di ba? Parati mo tinatanong ako, Kuya Boy, anong baon ko?
Right.
Usually, ang baon ko, may problema, nanghanap ako ng solusyon. But two things I realized later on. One is lahat tayo may hugot. Yun yung hugot namin ng mga nag-file ng resolution na yon. Pero pangalawa nga, yung sa baon ko, nakikita ko ngayon is that, you cannot blame everything on the devil. Di ba? So, if tonight, after natin to maglasing ako, naging alcoholic ako, choice ni Alan yon. Di ba? But there are also many things that there's a spiritual or there's a part that the devil... So, for example, no, if in the year 2000, pumayag kami magkakasino ang Taguig, tingin namin, hindi naging ganito BGC. Tingin namin, may plano si Lord, may plano ang devil. At may certain decisions that when you make it, it will go towards that. So, ganun din si Alan. So, plano ng devil, hindi ako maging tapat sa asawa ko. Plano ng devil, marami akong girlfriend, sirain yung pamilya. Hindi ako maging example sa ibang mga bata na nag-iisip na, does marriage still work in this country? So it's Alan, not the devil's, to decide every day, di ba? But the devil can put me in a situation na maraming magaganda dyan, maraming tempting dyan, na si Alan is alone with So decision ko dapat not to put myself in that situation. You know, I think the only situation I can think of in the Bible, no, where Christians should run is against temptation. Ang turo parati, do not be afraid. Di ba? If God is with you, who can be against you? Laban parati. Pero pag temptation, Kuya Boy, nagsasabi doon. Di ba? Turn and run from it. So to relate it, Kuya Boy, whether we're talking about the case of President Duterte, which I admit is controversial, whether we're talking about anong mangyayari sa Blue Ribbon, whether we're talking about taxes, napaka-creative ng Pinoy eh. Sabi niya kasi doon sa post niya, malapit na ang bayaran ng tax. Tapos sinabi niya, hindi ba dapat kunin na lang natin yung account ni Zaldico at nung iba, doon na natin i-deposit diretso. So it was funny. But it was also for me tragic na, di ba na sometimes kailangan yung, hindi lang yung wag kang balat sibuyas, kailangan i-admit mo sa sarili mo na kahit, you know, the only way to please other people, don't do anything. Don't do anything. Kasi hindi ka mapapansin eh. Then happy-happy ka eh. Pero gawin mo trabaho mo. Siguro ito yung encouragement ko lang dun sa nunod. If you're sure na tama at ginagawa mo ang trabaho mo, the criticisms will come, but wag mong pansinin. Ngayon, kung hindi ka sure na tama o makokorek ka pa or pakinggan mo ng konti din yung criticism. Kung tama yung criticism, medyo baguhin mo. Pero kung talagang inuupa ka, hindi ka maintindihan or sadya or they want to put you down and you're doing what's right. So for example, imagine Kuya Boy kung alam kong ang Pilipinas ay babagsak ang ekonomiya, pero kailangan itaas ang VAT ng 1%. Sino naman si Raulong politiko magsasabing, at this time, itaas ang VAT? But what if I knew that if we didn't do it, in 6 months to 2 years, babagsak ang ekonomiya? What? So that mabango ko, so that politiko, I won't say anything. But can you imagine someone saying now na, guys, alam kong naghinakit kayo, alam kong wala pa yung mastermind, alam kong sasakyan pa lang ang nabawi dito sa flood control, pero alam nyo ba, dapat itaas ang income tax ng 2%. Dapat ang VAT from 12.3. Talagang baka literally i-crucify ka ng mga tao. But what if you know in your heart, in your mind, you're 100% sure na the economy will dip in a year or will dive, not only dip, pero will you not do your job? No?
Yeah.
So, for me, Kuya Boy, some of it is part of the job, but some of it is controversial. Some is not about morality, diba? But it's just part of things that have to be said or have to get done. The last thing lang na I wanted to emphasize pala siguro, lost to because I want to be sensitive about it. That's why when we passed that resolution, nakiusap ako, Malacanang, please review. And yung iba criticize ako for saying we're doing this not only for the former president, not only for his family, but for the nation. I'm saying that for 2 reasons. Yung national pride natin na sinurrender mo, presidente mo. But more than that, Kuya Boy, we are a passionate people. We are a compassionate people. If he gets sick, or worse, if something happens to him there, may malaking gulo sa ating bansa. So that's what I meant. So I don't know how I can say it sensitively, di ba? But when you have a person who's 80%, and if it's true, di ba, that yung may signs na ng depression, tapos he doesn't want, tapos yung kung totoong nahulog at nagkasakit, if something happens there, people will blame someone. Will blame the government. And we don't know what will happen. Di ba?
Doon lang ako sa hugot at saka sa solusyon. Early on, dito sa controversial phase ng ating kasaysayan, you came up with the remand return idea, you came up with the archiving idea, naalala ko yun, at ilan pa, hanggang dumating ito doon sa snap elections, etc. Na para bagang ang tingin ng ibang tao ay si Alan Cayetano ay so engaged in this whole controversy, affairs, ika nga of the state, pero may dala siyang baon. And in the process, binubugbog ka ng mga taong nakakaunawa, pinipraise ka ng mga taong nakakaunawa at nakakaintindi sa'yo. Why do you care so much, Alan?
I truly cannot give you an articulate or but siguro it's the way God made me, 'di ba? I mean, I don't know any other way, Kuya Boy. Sa akin either zero pakialam or buong buhay ko binibigay doon. So, wag lang magagalit sa akin si Lani, pero pag nag-away kami, that's what I tell her. I care so much about your opinion, 'di ba? And I care so much about you caring me. That's why on the reverse, pag hindi ko nagustuhan, hindi mo pwedeng sabihin sa akin, wag basta magalit, 'di ba? So that's the kind of person siguro God made me to be, Kuya Boy. But also, I hate missing opportunities. I'm not the kind of person that will cry over spilled milk. Pag nangyari na, ano pang magagawa mo? But pag nasa harap ko na parang, Kuya Boy, alam ko pag sumali ka dyan, ikaw mananalo, tapos hindi ka sumali, di ba? Or, Kuya Boy, alam ko na pag tumakbo ka, panalo ka. I'm the type of the person until the last minute, tutulak kita. So when I see the problems of the country, everyone sees it. But everyone sees the opportunities differently. So pag may nakita kong, may opportunity for a solution, hindi ko mapigilan sarili ko itulak.
You go for it.
Yeah, but people who love me, including yourself, my sister, my wife, minsan sila sabi, it's not always for you to say something. And I have to learn that.
No. Patuloy ang aming pagdadasal para sa iyong kaligtasan, kalusugan, at kapayapaan. Maraming salamat.
I truly appreciate it kasi prayer moves mountains.
Yes.
Talaga.
Prayer does move mountains.